Beautiful. Thank you very much, Robina. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Refuel and the team, for inviting me along today. I'm hoping this goes a lot better than the dress rehearsal I did on Tuesday night to my partner, whose response to me was, "Man, your job is boring." So really hoping it goes better. So as Robina pointed out, we've been going through a big process around the One SeaLink website, which we actually do have over 200 different domains registered. We've got over 100 different websites that are live in market at the moment. So it's been a big process in bringing everything together. So why did we undertake the One SeaLink project? We had a huge amount of technical debt. We had multiple different systems running. We had multiple different knowledge points, different booking systems, sites ranking for different things, content overlapping, duplicate content, and the list goes on and on and on as to why we did it. But we looked back at what we're doing, and ultimately we wanted to focus to what our customer wanted and how can we make the system as best as possible and as easy as possible for our customers to be able to use it. So we approached it from a mobile first. Some of our sites were, I think 2014 was one of our CMS systems that we're using, and it was no longer supported by the CMS itself. So as you can imagine, mobile technology has evolved a long way in the last 9 years. So we focused on having a mobile first approach, making sure that we've got the best systems for the customers on the devices they want to use. Improving our overall user experience, as I spoke about before, we wanted to make sure it was as best as possible for all of our different users across the country. Making the booking system as easy as possible. It was quite a clunky system as we had before. We have passenger ferries, vehicle ferries, accommodation bookings, experiences, tours and packages, the list goes on for all the different things that we do. And each of our websites had a very different process and different way of undertaking it. We wanted to bring all that together and understand what the touch points were and how we can make this system a lot easier for our customers. Having a consistency of all of our digital product, all of our websites looked and feel different. We wanted to make sure that everywhere you went from a SeaLink point of view, it felt like SeaLink. It didn't feel like a different business that was added onto SeaLink. We wanted everything to feel part of the SeaLink family. And finally, we wanted to build brand awareness. This is a big challenge for us, because when I started, I thought SeaLink was just Kangaroo Island. And as Robina has pointed out, SeaLink is much bigger than Kangaroo Island. This was their original site, was sealink.com.au. We also had sealinkrottnest.com.au. We had fraserislandferry.com.au, which is now migrated to be SeaLink Gari, formerly known as Fraser Island. SeaLink SEQ, our North Stradbroke business. SeaLink Queensland, our operations out to Magnetic Island. SeaLink NT, we go to the Tiwi Islands, Darwin, Mandurah Ferry. Our recently launched business, sealinkwhitsundays.com.au. And SeaLink Bruny Island. Now that's just a select group of all the different sites that we have, but they all fit under the SeaLink umbrella. So the challenge for us was how are we going to bring all of this together to make a single site and a single solution for our customers. This is what all the different websites look like now. As you can see, they've now all got the similar sort of look and feel. All the navigations are the same, follow the same site structures. We've now got consistent naming conventions across everything. We've really pushed forward over the last 2 years to make sure that all of our sites and all the experience with SeaLink is consistent. And from this, it's born what we now call sealink.com.au, which internally we've coined as One SeaLink. This is where everything is housed now from a SeaLink point of view. You can come here, see all of our destinations. You can learn all about our marine expertise. You can learn about who we are, your careers. Everything is now combined into one spot to really give that understanding to our customers that SeaLink does service you no matter where you go across the country. So this was a big undertaking across the business. And as I said, it took 2 years to get there. So the process, unfortunately, is not something that just goes overnight. You're done and dusted, away you go, move forward. It was a two-year process. I think I wrote the business case back in, I think it was June 2021 to get there. And then from that moment on, it evolved and it built. Had to get a lot of different people involved, a lot of different touch points, getting feedback from all different people. But what I can say is, yeah, just trust the process and believe in yourself. Whilst it might seem like such a long way away, it does come through, and see it through to the end. And as Robina pointed out, and I don't know who wrote my bio for the presentation, but yes, I am a numbers nerd. And one thing I always am is I'm curious. So I'm asking, what does that mean? Why is that number this? Why is that this? Every single thing you do, ask the question, why? It uncovers other things. You might find the answer is quite a simple solution, but you also might find out it's going to go into a lot more depth, and you go a different path and you uncover things that you didn't know about your customers, your website, your experience, and what you can do to improve. So the first step that we did was undertaking a website review. This was a long and arduous process going across all of our different sites there. I have got a screenshot of Google Analytics 4 behind there. We can start with Universal Analytics, working through where everything is, how our site works, what's been going on. So we wanted to understand our user behaviour. And as I think Ryan mentioned before in the ChatGPT presentation, every audience is different. You need to understand why certain people are coming to your site, breaking down all your different audiences across there. For us, why is a tourist coming to the website? Why is a resident coming to the website? Why is an account holder coming to the website? They've all got different reasons to coming to our SeaLink touchpoints, but we need to make sure the booking flow and the booking system could adapt to whatever the customer and whatever the user of the website wanted to do. All of the entry points, we undertook a big understanding around where people are coming into our site. What are they coming in for? What do they want to see? How do we make sure that we're bringing the information that we've learned from all of our sites from an entry point of view is brought forward so that it's easy to find and discoverable across the SeaLink website? The flip side to that is the exit points. Where were all our users dropping out? Why were they dropping out? Where were the blocks in what we were doing? Were they coming into our SeaLink environment and ultimately booking a product because that's what we wanted to do, or were they dropping out at certain points? So then how do we adapt where they were exiting to make sure that it was a more consistent feel for them to take the action that as a business we wanted them to do? Discoverability. So we use a tool called Hotjar here, so we've overlaid all of our different heat maps and understanding where people were going from on our site. Where were they hovering over? What were they clicking on? What were they doing? Because just because we thought we wanted to have the call to action in a certain spot didn't mean the customer was going there. So how do we learn from what they're doing and their user behaviour across our site to be able to improve and make the content as easy as possible for our customers to find? And finally, we wanted to understand the click depth. So one of the goals for the project was to make sure no matter where you were within our environment, you could book our product within 3 clicks. That was a real big challenge for us because we're looking back at the website and what was happening before. We had journeys that were 10 to 12 clicks to get people to book, which is a really clunky and difficult experience. So looking at starting with the purchase point and working our way backwards, what was the process to get people there? How can we make sure that no matter where you come in, no matter what you do, the ultimate goal for us as a business was to get you to convert, that we were able to do it quickly, smoothly, and easily. Listen to your customers. They're the ones that are using the website. It's not you. As a marketer, we always love thinking that we design the website for what we want, but ultimately, we know all the shortcuts. We know the way around the website. We know how to get there as quick as possible. We're not the customers. We're not the custodians of what we are the custodians, but we're not the ones that are using the website for the purpose that it's being designed for. So listening to your customers, and I've stolen a quote here from Jeff Bezos, but we're not competitor obsessed, we're customer obsessed. We start with the customer and we work backwards. As from this, we've born a customer experience team at SeaLink. We see the real value in understanding all of our customers, listening to them, what are their positives, what are their negatives, who are advocates, who are being constructive in their criticism, and then having all different tools to be able to bring in this information so that we can take the learnings from what our customers are doing into our website. At the beginning of every project, you want to set clear objectives. You want to know what you're trying to achieve and why you're trying to do things. So we wanted to define exactly what we wanted to achieve. We wanted to ensure it's measurable. That's one thing that I'd encourage everyone here as a marketer and as being obsessed with numbers, is making sure that everything is measurable. There's no point in saying, oh, I want to do this, but you have no process of being able to recall it, be able to measure it, to be able to prove the success of what you have done. So making sure all your goals are measurable. Benchmarking, really encourage everyone to benchmark so you understand if you're doing well. One thing that I would encourage you potentially not to do is benchmarking against the industry. We all fall into the trap of saying, oh, I want to be as big as this company and they're being able to achieve this. You've got to remember every single website is different. Every single user experience is different. And benchmarking yourself against a category, yes, it's something nice to do, but benchmarking yourself against yourself, so you're always looking to grow, you're always looking to improve, but you're also measuring things against what is actually happening on your site, and it's a consistent measuring point. Consistent reporting. Being able to have this set up so you are monitoring and seeing what's going on. So we've got all of our reports. Well, I look at them daily, but we send them out weekly and monthly depending on what the business unit wants. But having that consistent reporting structure in place allows you to be able to identify when things have gone wrong, so you're not going, I'm waiting for my quarterly review to come through, and I did something back on April 1st, and I'm now doing my report on June 30, and you can see it didn't work. You want to be able to catch that, you want to be able to work on it, you want to be able to improve. And ultimately, back yourself in. This is the big thing for me, is believe in yourself, give yourself a go, and back yourself in because you are the expert in your business. Everyone's looking to you for the expertise and be able to learn. And ultimately, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. Getting stakeholder buy-in was the fun part at the very beginning. So behind there is the 21-page business case we had to write to get this over the line. As Robina said, we had 8 different businesses looking to have their own environments. They all wanted to hold their own websites. They control their own destiny. Having them buy into a national vision and a national way of working was a tough challenge, as well as getting board of management, the board at SeaLink, everyone to buy into a complete change of what we were doing. because SeaLink.com.au was our major site, which was our Kangaroo Island business. So having SA relinquish the rights, I guess, to SeaLink.com.au, again, was a big conversation and a big education piece. So we went through every single digital touch point, every single digital channel. So in the document here is benchmarks. It's where we wanted to get to, what were our goals, what were our objectives. We had a lot of challenges, so we wrote about all the different risks that we had and how we're going to mitigate that and what the benefits were of all of these things. It was all outlined in a document, so if everyone had any questions, we could reference back to this, and everyone bought in and everyone wanted to go in the same direction. Content review. So you don't often get to start afresh, so that's one thing that was really exciting, was to be able to start with new websites, so being able to refresh everything we're doing. We started with the site design, so we did a lot of user testing, both locally, internationally, to try and understand how customers were engaging with other websites, but also if we had all these different prototypes, what was the best way for customers to engage with us. We took a lot of time in going through all the different site designs, a lot of different presentations to see what worked best for us. Website visuals, it's a great chance for you to refresh all of your imagery, all of your videos. Everything like that can change. It's time to update. We were very guilty of having some old imagery, old videos on the site. Again, it's a chance for us to refresh and be able to set new ground. Keyword research, big project in going through what are people searching for to come to our site, where are the opportunities for us to be able to grow, where are the opportunities for us to maintain our strength. Going through that, we use Google. We also use a tool called SEMrush to be able to understand all the different keyword research. What are search terms that customers are looking for that we may not be answering at the moment, that we now need to answer? So how do we go about doing that? And links. Having a link building strategy, making sure your website, so that goal of having everyone being able to convert within 3 clicks, making sure our internal linking strategy was correct, making sure we had external links in place, who are the right people to work with. It was a big project to sort of get to where we are now. Consistent brand presence was another thing. That was one of the goals we had as a business, and I don't know if anyone from Nation's in the room, but Nation put together a brand voice document for us, for SeaLink, for us to be able to use and reference throughout the project. This then was translated into the overall website experience. All of our site mapping became consistent. We made sure that every site had the same structure. It was easy to navigate. If I wanted to book a ferry on one site and I wanted to book a ferry on a different site, it was the exact same spot to go. If I wanted to learn about things to do on one island, again, it's the exact same process on another site. We brought in different things, so around events, experiences, our special offers page, everything then was able to be brought into the national site, so you could go into the national website, you could see how everything across our business was doing, and if you wanted a one-stop to see SeaLink as a whole, everyone was now working together and having that consistent presence. Our URL structures, so I spoke about, our navigation was now the same, so you went in, so the SeaLink, destination, plan, experience, the same structure across the entire website, which again allows you to be seen as a much more authoritative source via Google. So these are all different things that we're looking for, making sure that everything was consistent, there was no breaks, and ultimately naming conventions. Now that might be URLs, that could be imagery, a whole range of things, but we put together a naming convention structure for us to be able to follow and make it easier to be able to discover things. This was the fun one, was our booking flow. So we had passenger ferries, we had vehicle ferries, we had some that you could run at certain times, some were only one way, some went to multiple different destinations. So for example, in our Tiwi Islands, you go from Darwin to Tiwi, and then you go through 2 different islands on the way back through, but you have to go back due for police checks and things like that. So there's a whole different range of reasons as to why our booking flow was different, but we wanted to understand what were the touch points, what were the key blocks for us to be able to improve. So as I said before, knowing your audience, making sure that it's adaptable for any particular user who comes to your website. Having the clear call to actions across your site. What do you want your customer to do? Making sure they're clear and concise and customers can do what you want them to do very quickly. The steps to book. How do you minimize the amount of steps to book? What is the information that you really need versus what is the information that you just would like to have? If you're not going to be able to use it from a marketing sense moving forward, it's probably not worthwhile having in the booking flow. Only keep the information that you desperately want to know and that you need for whatever the reason the customer is booking. Have that in the booking flow. Really shrink it down, make it as concise as possible. For us, it became an opportunity to upsell. We had 3 different booking flows. If you wanted to book accommodation, you had to go through one way. If you wanted to book through experience, you had to go another way. If you wanted to book a ferry, you go through another way. This allowed us to be able to bring all these experiences together and make sure that you could buy multiple products at the one's time. And from that, it allows you to find more customers. So we're able to build our overall customer base, which then allows you to have bigger seed audiences, so you can grow from a central spot. You can go out and find more customers, more opportunity for you to be able to grow and build your website and build your customer base. Testing everything. I can't stress this enough, is test every single thing you can possibly do on the site. The one thing you don't try and do will be the one thing the customer does, and that'll be the one thing that comes back. So testing everything, every combination. The example behind there is for our Rottnest business. We went through every single different passenger type, every single different add-on, every single different extra. Are you going one way, are you going return, across different devices, making sure that it works across every single device as possible, whether that be desktop, mobile, tablet, all the different variations within there. There are tools out there that allow you to do it at the same time, so don't stress, you don't have to do it hundreds and hundreds of times. Various browsers, making sure all the browsers were working and it was all able to be booked and able to have the consistent website experience across every single browser we had. And then always remember to make sure everything is tracking. You do all this work, and if you forget to put the tracking in place, you're never going to be able to prove what you did and show the growth of what's been going on. It also allows you to sort of start fresh from a marketing technology point of view. So we did a lot of different improvements across all of our marketing tech. We enhanced the CMS. So our CMSs were quite old. We enhanced them, we grew, we improved. We were able to have new features available to us. It became much more of an easier to use from a marketing sense. We were able to drag, drop. We were able to do a whole range of things we previously weren't able to do. First-party data. Again, starting afresh, we were able to find different ways to capture first-party data for our customers. This is your business's unique selling point. No other business has access to your first-party data. You're able to use that to your own advantage. And with the slow death of cookies, whenever Google decides to finally cut that off, third-party data is becoming more and more obsolete and harder to use for any sort of real significant marketing purpose. First-party data is critical, so we've allowed and we've created different ways for our customers to be able to provide their first-party data for information from us to make sure that we're building our marketing base and we can talk to customers when and wherever they want to hear from us. Automation, putting in place to make sure everything is automated, making sure there's not as much hand-holding, there's not as much manual work going into, so you can invest your time back into more fun marketing things rather than working behind the scenes. So automation was a big focus for us. We're bringing in a whole range of new partners in the coming months to really improve what we're doing from an automation sense to make it easier for us from a marketing perspective. And dare I say it, Google Analytics 4. I guess 12 months ago, I was a real skeptic of it. I didn't like it. I was very, very used to how universal analytics worked. And over the 12 months and using it every day, I've become accustomed, and I really, really like Google Analytics 4. The wealth of information and the depth of knowledge you can get out of the platform is amazing. So if you're not using it to its full extent, jump in there, play around. Most things you could do in Universal, you can now do in Google Analytics 4. It might take a little bit of extra effort to get there, but it is a wealth of knowledge, and it really is a great way to understand how people are engaging with your website and what you can do to be able to move forward. So once all of that was done, we then had the fun part of setting up all of the redirects. So this was our SeaLink.com.au site, which had, I think, 25 years of strength and of knowledge and of building everything up, and we were going to up it and move it somewhere else. So this was a big thing for us to make sure we had everything in place from a redirect point of view to be able to push it over to our new site, SeaLink.com.au/Kangaroo Island. Now, I think we had probably overall 5,000 plus web pages across the group to be able to redirect and make sure everything was going to the same spot. It's like when you're moving house and you want to go, I want to move all my mail somewhere else. You've set up a life somewhere, you don't want that to be stopped, you want to move everything over. We had to make sure that all of our sites were redirecting from the pages that have been live for such a long period of time and built up such authority, helped us to rank across Google to completely new domains. So the way we did that was we set up our 302 redirects to start with. So we had the temporary redirects in place in case anything did, touch wood, go wrong. So we could always revert back to the previous URLs without telling Google that we've permanently moved somewhere else. And over time, we've migrated them all to 301s to have a permanent place now in a different website and a different domain. Celebrate going live. All this hard work, celebrate what you did, and this doesn't mean going out and getting hammered. What I mean by this is taking the time to take a step back, reflect on what you did, because you get so caught up in the moment that you feel as though, oh, it's just another day at the office, I've ticked the box, I've moved on. But when you take a step back and reflect on what you've actually done, it's a really good feeling to be able to go, yes, I did that, and I can see where we started to where we are now. Really encourage all marketers, we're all super busy, is to take that time to reflect on what you did and really take in the learnings from what you've done. Doesn't stop, unfortunately, once it is live. So we've been now focusing on making sure all of our websites are as healthy as they possibly can be. So with that, we're reviewing all of our website speed, making sure that the site is loading as quickly as possible, everything is working, and all images are minimized, it's loading in the right way. There's a whole range of different things that go into the website speed and health. We're trying to minimize the amount of scripts and codes that gets loaded through our booking flow. How do we bring as much information ahead of time? Broken links, it's inevitable that you're going to have broken links with this process. There are going to be things that you missed. There are going to be things that you forgot. Now, that's not a slight on anyone doing this sort of work. When you are moving a site from one URL to another, it's inevitable you're going to have broken links. So looking at all your 404 reports, making sure that your retours are in place, adapting all that to make sure that you're jumping on it as soon as you possibly can. Tag management, so jumping into Google Tag Manager, which we use, or whatever tag management system you may use in your business, making sure that everything's firing, all your pixels are working, all your tags are working, it's pushing through the right data, go right into, well, I went right into the data layers, I'm not saying you guys have to, but sort of understanding how everything is working, all the information that you want out of the booking flow or out of the customer experience on the website is being pushed through into a way that you can use it, understand it, and to develop and improve. Metadata, it's a great opportunity for you to refresh again. Ryan spoke before around SEO. This is a way for you to refresh, understand what your customers are doing. Are my titles correct? Are my descriptions correct? Are my images all tagged up properly? Taking time to reflect, go back, rework it, understand what customers are looking for. Things change over time. It's an evolving process, making sure that you're across what's happening. And do make sure your site is indexing. So make sure you jump in there and the new site is indexing. You're telling Google, yes, we have launched a new website. One thing that we've encouraged, and I'm very big on getting feedback, is having a continuous feedback loop, because, as I said at the start, the way I use the site is completely different to how customers would use the site. So I don't want to get stuck in that bubble of this is how I use it, so it works fine. It's getting that continuous feedback loop. So what we've got in place now is we have post-purchase surveys. So at the end of each of our bookings, we'll provide an opportunity for a customer to provide feedback on the post-purchase survey. Was the booking experience easy? What did you like about it? Collecting that information from our customers to understand, well, what did work, what doesn't work, because we're not the ones in there booking every day. And through the screenshot behind there is through a technology called Hotjar. So I work with our developers. Anything that gets a score of under 6, we go back and we watch what happened. Let's try and understand where the breaks were, why was the customer frustrated, making sure we're not acting on the angry customer who's just using it as an opportunity to vent to us, but looking at their experience, and we can understand, okay, they were trying to go over here, or they thought it should have been in this place, understanding what's going on to be able to improve. Post-travel reviews, so talking about marketing automation, we've now got that all in place. So anytime you travel with us, you'll receive emails within 24 hours of your experience finishing, and we want to learn about how is your experience, not only from the website, but also from us as a much broader sense, so that we can improve our customer experience and products. Website analytics, jumping into your website analytics, understanding what's going on, are the pages doing what you thought they were going to do, looking at time on site, looking at bounce rates, looking at exit rates, all sorts of different things that you can find within Google Analytics is understanding how your customers are using your site, finding the pinpoints and the pressure points to be able to go, okay, I can see what's happening there, I now need to go back, reflect on that, improve it, how can I get better? Call tracking, this is not in place at the moment, but it's something we're looking to have, is to understand, I guess one of the goals of the website was to have less people call through and have more people be able to use the website. What we now want to do is have call tracking in place to be able to understand why people are calling up. What is the frustration as to why they have to call up to book our product? Without that information, we can't adapt the site to be able to improve what we needed to do. And heat mapping. So at the very start when I spoke about Hotjar, is understanding where customers are scrolling, where they're hovering, where they're clicking. It really gives you a great deal of knowledge to be able to understand how your customers are using the website rather than how me as a marketer wants to use the website. So in saying that was a very quick overview around how the website works and what we've done from a website consolidation point of view. But what were the results? Did it achieve what we wanted it to do? So since we've gone live back in June 2021, and we've had a staggered approach, so over 12 months we rolled out every single website. They were roughly in a 2-month block. Overall, we've seen website visitation increase by 23%. We've seen our conversion rate improve by 32%. So we have been able to achieve the goal of making sure it's easier and quicker for our customers to be able to book our product. And we've seen online revenue grow by 28%. Now that's not just people switching from being offline to online. We've reset the base, and we have seen, from an online point of view, overall our revenue growth is up almost 30%. Now I've had the privilege of getting up here and talking to everybody. So everyone's listened to me talk, but it's definitely a team effort. It's not a single person who can achieve this. I am also a massive Geelong supporter, so I enjoyed last year. It's a team effort. Everyone buys into what you're trying to do. It's not just a marketing project, it is a business project. From the SA team is here today, our developers, the IT teams, our management teams, the sales centre teams, the front of house staff, people on the boats, getting feedback and understanding how they want to use it, because at the end of the day, you don't want the people in front of customers to be able to have a great experience and be able to be positive advocates of what you're doing. So it's been a huge team effort in getting everyone through and getting this over the line. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll open up to questions.
Thank you, Tim. Truly inspirational project. Some of you may know that I did work at SeaLink back in the day, and we were talking about, wouldn't it be great if all the businesses work together? So kudos to you, Tim, for giving us a peek behind the curtain as to the SeaLink that is kind of coming together and emerging stronger than ever before. We got lots of questions. I am loving the adoption of Slido. Obviously, lots of people want to win Adelaide Fringe voucher. So thank you very much, everybody. Let's start with some tech questions. What CMS did you re-platform to? Sarah Pemberton wants to know.
We had a whole range, but so I guess we had Radiant, we had Cloud Cannon, which we've moved off those two systems, but Craft is what we're using at the moment. So we're currently on Craft 4, different iterations of Craft. So we had some site on Craft 2. I can actually say as of today, everybody's off Craft 2. So while SeaLink's all moved over, our Murray Princess business, Captain Cook, Swan Valley Tours, other businesses in Sydney, everyone's moved off Craft 2. We're now using Craft 4 as our CMS.
Exciting. Sarah also wanted to know, Sarah or Sarah? I'm sorry, I'll go with Sarah because there's no H on the end. Also then as a follow-up, you mentioned before the team, and you mentioned Nation before as well with the brand voice. But did you actually partner with an agency or an implementation partner to do this massive project, or was this actually all in-house?
The majority was done in-house. So we're lucky enough to have our own specialist developer team and IT team on level 2. So most of this was done in-house. I guess from an agency partner point of view, we reached out in the very part of the ideation phase to work with Refuel. Yeah. So we had a couple of sessions with yourselves to sort of make sure that what we're proposing, what we want to do, was the right thing. And it was not just us from an ego point of view saying we want to do this and we want to make sure it's as best as what we think it could be. We wanted to understand, is this the right thing for the customer? Is this the right thing from a tech point of view? So yeah, from an agency point of view, we work with Nation from the brand voice, but we work with Refuel from a digital standpoint.
Michelle asks, so you mentioned listening to your customers a lot through this process, and obviously you've got on the website there are forms, and then there's the follow-ups now after the actual experience of going on the ferry and going to all these beautiful islands, which if you guys haven't been, you should go. How do you actually undertake this research? Like, did you guys do anything beyond those sort of online surveys to kind of get an idea of that customer picture?
Yeah, so we went out to a segment of our database with emails. We, as I said, had a post-purchase survey. We had a lot of Hotjar running across the site throughout the actual initial launch. We went out and spoke to customers firsthand to understand what their pain points were. We went and spent time with the front of house staff. So we went up to Queensland, spent time with the teams on the boat, the ones who are customer facing. What are the pressure points? It's not just the website. There's a whole range of things to go through. I just get to talk about the marketing part. We wanted to all the online check-ins, all these sort of things. Screens at the kiosk screens at our terminals. What do customers want? How can we improve what's going on? So we spoke to as many people as we possibly can, and we've still got the feedback opportunity there. If customers want to come through to us, it's an open door. We're very keen to hear because we know it's not, well, I like to think we've done a fantastic job. It's not finished. There's always things that we can do and improve on. There's a massive scope of work this year for all the new features we want to roll out to make, again, improve the customer experience. And then from an email automation point of view, we're investing in a new solution now moving forward to be able to do all the automation and understand our customers and have a single view of where they are and what they're doing across all of our sites.
This one from Makisha. You were saying that this time last year you would have said, I hate GA4. Now you are a GA4, lover. But how did you manage the consolidation of these websites right in the middle of sort of this impending deadline of June 30 and Universal Analytics sunsetting?
It was actually, I shouldn't say quite easy, but we were lucky in terms of the timelines. They were all live just before GA4 kicked in. So we sort of cheated the system, and when new sites went live, we transferred everything over to GA4. So we're still running on UA until the new sites did go live. Rottnest went live on June 21, I think, and that was the last one to come off UA to GA4. The next part is consolidating all of that data from Universal Analytics and Google Analytics 4 to be able to understand year-on-year growth, what's changed from the previous analytics system to where we are now.
Another one from Michelle. Was accessibility a consideration for the new website build? And if so, how did you meet website accessibility requirements?
Very good question. It wasn't a key KPI for what we did for the new site. It is a KPI now that we've got everything up and running. So that, how we're going to do it is a very good question, but it is something that we're focused on being able to improve what we're doing and making sure it's accessible as possible for any customer who wants to book with us. But no, it wasn't a key focus of what we did in year one.
Yeah. Jenny's got an interesting question here, just kind of flipping back to team for a minute. What was the team structure you had to consolidate these sites into one? So you kind of mentioned everybody, it's a business project, it wasn't a marketing project or even a digital project for the developers. So I guess, like, were there sort of some key players in there, or, how could you elaborate on that, please, Tim?
Sure. So as I said, it's a national project, so there's marketing teams in every one of our destinations, and they range from a strong team through to, I guess, there's no one here from Bruny Island, so I can say this, the people working on the boat were the marketing teams down there. So it's a real range of people we were working with. It was getting everyone bought in from a team structure. It was really, I guess, national marketing worked very close with each of the individual business teams, but we had a very strong relationship with the IT and development teams as well to be able to understand what we want to do and how, and vice versa, how it's coming back. We had multiple meetings every week with those teams, and then from a stakeholder point of view, every single time we launched a new site, we had kick-off meetings with each of the teams. What are your pressure points? What are your customers saying about it now? And then having regular updates, regular check-ins with each of those teams, which included marketing, management, sales staff, and so on.
I remember Cara residents being particularly passionate, one way or the other, positive or negative. How did they actually adjust to this shift? Because I know in the past they've had a very, look, the residents of Kangaroo Island are beautiful people, but I know that they feel very strongly about how they should be able to interact with SeaLink and how because SeaLink, that's the beginning of SeaLink as a company, is that Kangaroo Island ferry. So, did you get much pushback from the residents, or did you kind of just go, Kat, you can deal with them instead?
I did say that, no. No, they were very vocal when we launched, so we heard them loud and clear as to what was happening. I mean, the system had been in place for 20 plus years. It's like anything change is quite scary, so getting them to adapt to a new way of booking, a new way of being able to use the website, where different features were. But we did include them as part of the initial research phase, so we went out and spoke to some of the residents. We've got another focus group with the residents coming up, where open conversation with what they want. Some of the new features that are coming this year are as a result of listening to what they need and what they want on the website. So yes, they're a very vocal community, but at the same time, it's good to hear what's going on. So we're not, as I said, the way I use the site is completely different to what they're using the site and their purpose for wanting to run it. So it's, just listening to what they have to say.
Was including translation for different languages part of the new website update strategy? Why or why not? Very
good question. It was initially. We did speak around, do we want to have all of our websites translated into various different languages, looking at who our customers are, where they're travelling from, and then I guess it comes, how long's a piece of string? Do you want to do it for one language or 50 different languages? At the end of the day, the cost and the resourcing of keeping the content up to date in all the different languages as we change became probably a bit too hard for us to be able to manage, and having experts in various different languages to make sure everything is correct. So we rely on, Google Translate to do that. We do have in Grady, we have an app for all of our Explorer Tour product, which does have the ability to translate your experience into the various different languages. It's something we've rolled out or are rolling out in Sydney, and it is something that we're looking at from an app point of view, where the customers are going to be on the island, and we want to make sure their experience is as best as possible. We're there, you can then translate everything into the various different languages, but from a website point of view, being across 8 different websites and the content's forever evolving, we didn't want to be in a situation where new page or any new content then had to be run through and translated multiple times.
This is a cheeky anonymous question. How do you know, Tim, that the growth or increase in sales wasn't just because of easing travel restrictions?
Very good question. So we've looked at the data year on year. We've looked at the data when COVID started, 2019 to now. So we haven't just been naive and saying, well, actually, funny story, when I started at SeaLink and it was during COVID, I was making the move across and Dad said to me, well, there's never a better time to move now because I can't go any lower and it's only going to go up, so you're going to look really good. But no, we've looked at how it worked year on year, how it's worked over the last 3 years to make sure that we're not just claiming success of COVID restrictions being. And I guess during COVID we actually did really well because international borders got closed. So you saw all the wonderful destinations that we had. Everyone wanted to travel locally. Yeah. So as a business, our domestic tourism actually went through the roof. So comparing year on year actually wouldn't have been as favourable as it would be for some industries for us.
This one comes from Patrick Edwards. What was the dot point business case for One SeaLink? And have any of the outcomes surprised you? Because I know you've talked a bit about already trying to getting the change across the line. But yeah, do you remember the dot points, the key dot points? That looked like a pretty intense document that you put up on the screen before. Yeah,
it took me a fair while to write that. I think it's about 6,000 or 7,000 words and a lot of information. We focused a lot around online conversion rate, online revenue, but the strength of the brand of SeaLink again. So from an organic point of view, making sure that we're ranking as high up the search chain for as many keywords as we possibly can, and we're not duplicating our resources across the group. We spoke about paid search, what will be benefits from there, website health, so how do we improve website speed, usability of our sites, and then even to your point before around residents is making sure we're mitigating all the different customer types, the way they use the site now, what are the risks of change, what are the benefits of change, and how we're going to handle that is a very short, there was a big summary around the start around how people are using the website now, what are the risks if we don't change, was one of the big ones as well.
Yeah, I was going to say cost of inaction is something that I think we don't always think about, but we really should as marketers when we're building our cases for things. Yes, this is the cost of investing in this new platform, or this is the cost of doing these ads, but if we don't actually do it, we're going to lose out on revenue in the long run, or brand longevity and so on. There's a couple more questions here, but I know that morning tea is upon us. Ashley has a good one though. If the goal is good customer experience, what measurements and metrics are you using to indicate, what metrics are you using, Tim?
Yeah, so we've got the Hotjar surveys in place. Now that is only looking at the booking flow from a good customer experience. We're looking at NPS is one of the things that we're being based on. So we're being quite big on building out customer experience platform, customer experience program, KPIing ourselves on achieving certain things from an NPS point of view to make sure that the things that we are doing are translating back to our customers and the creed, I guess, of being a good customer experience, making sure that we're living through that and that the customers are coming back to us. So we're very keen in hearing from them and responding to them, both from a positive experience and a negative experience, because it is ways that you can improve.
And I've got two last questions here. Nat asks, after consolidating, did the different businesses need separate analytics? How do you ensure that everybody has access to the, each of the different business units have access to the Google Analytics data and that kind of thing?
So we have a national Google Analytics account, the GF4 account set up. We have all the individual ones also in an account as well. I'm quite big on giving everyone access to whatever they want. It's not my job to hoard everything and keep everything to me. I want everyone in my team to be better and be able to learn what they can do. So giving anyone access within the marketing teams who wanted to, there's been no issues with that, and allowing them to see it. It just becomes an education and a training piece to be able to bring them up, because they also want to be able to jump in. They don't want to have to wait for Tim to be able to respond when there's 12 different businesses all wanting my time. We want them to be able to get better at what they do as well.
So the final question for Tim, which is most appropriate as we go to the break, why haven't you set a lap time on Mario Kart yet?
I didn't want to embarrass everyone.
Look, someone has to knock Ryan off the top spot. Surely one of you can do it. On that note, please thank Mr. Tim Grady.
Thank you.